50, the whole story. A 3-hour special, Tuesday at 8 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
Oh, we sail parties by the day or half day. We go down to Wooden Boat and teach a course in seamanship. Oh, my father always had a boat ever since I can remember. And we just never got away from it.
Being brought up on the water is, I don't think you can beat it for an educational experience, because you have to be so alert to what's going on, and there's so much you can appreciate. And we started with twins, and then I had another little boy, so we had this little gang growing up. So that's when we decided to go into the day sailing business. And then the boys could go as mate. They learned so much, and then they gain confidence in what they can do and how they can handle the elements and so on.
And then they learn to do things the way they're told to do them and for a particular reason, and it all hangs together and makes sense. And I had sailed a Friendship sloop as a boy. She's wide, stable, comfortable, dry, good-looking. All the characteristics that make her a good fishing vessel make her a good boat to take people out in. You don't frighten them to death or get them all wet.
She's a very forgiving boat, so if they make mistakes, she tells them. We also take the grandchildren out, and they go as mate lots of times. And they pretty quickly catch on to what they're supposed to do. Roger gives one of them the wheel, and he doesn't touch the wheel the whole time. He's right behind them, telling them what to do, I can tell you.
Give them good advice. And I let them alone. I think beneficent neglect is a very good way to teach people. You give them the principle of the thing and explain what it is that they're trying to do and how they're going to do it, and leave them alone. Captain Ed McFarland that I used to go with years ago said knowledge earned is better than knowledge learned if it don't come too dear. And that seemed like a lot of good sense to me.
When we first saw the coast of Labrador, everything was bigger than life. Our first icebergs, our first Arctic tundra. It was exciting to be repeating history. The last time that she headed north at all was 1954. Yeah, so it had been 36 years since she'd made stops in any of these places. An old gentleman came down to the boat and just couldn't believe his eyes. He just woke up one morning and looked out his window and said, "Oh my goodness, there's this boat, and again, I can't hardly believe that she's still around." The Bowden was built in 1921 to the specifications of Donald McMillan, later to become Admiral McMillan, and he did all kinds of different scientific work in the Arctic. He did a lot of surveying, a lot of charting. The research that's been conducted over the years has always, of course, been done on wooden sailing vessels. That's what they had to work with. There's some things that sailing vessels just do better, and they do it in itself. He would go north, occasionally winter over, intentionally freeze her into the ice. And they would then build a snow wall all around the hull, and then they would build igloos on the hatches over the deck and hunker down for the winter. It's a very powerful image of Donald McMillan. He was a bigger-than-life kind of person. People who've stayed with the boat over the years tell me that Admiral McMillan is always up there in the ice barrel, at the top of the foremast there. Sailing this vessel now, of course, I'm down there living in his bunk, and the mate across the way is living in the bunk that his wife slept in. And you feel it, you know it, you think about him a lot. There's an awful lot of difference between keeping something functioning the way it used to run and going to a museum to look at it. You get to really learn all there was to know about all the people that were involved with her and all the places she went. Of all the things that I could imagine myself doing, I would say that this trip to Labrador far surpassed anything that I had thought I would get involved with. We're planning next year's voyages now, and we should be able to go as far north as Macmillan went. We hope to get her north of the Arctic Circle in the very near future.
Lower away on your foresail.
I think the beauty of a wooden vessel is that they're unlimited. They can go on forever. After a life of essentially 60 years, she was taken in, thoroughly rebuilt, and now she's ready for another life of 60 years. I think that that could go on indefinitely.
I began building sails when I joined the Coast Guard. It just was one of those things that happened. I was informed that I would be up in the sail loft one day and would be helping out up there. When I walked in the door, I knew instantly that's what I wanted to do. Just the space, the light, the smell, and the quiet work atmosphere. I enjoyed learning about all the various aspects of building sails and working with wire and rope, and primarily older type of sail is were my primary interests. And I believe that if you're restoring a boat and you're being true to the traditional and the original designer's intent of the boat, that the sails should follow as well. I look at some of the methods as being very time-honored ways of building sails, and if a person is seriously going to sea, and if a sail if it's made by hand, it can be repaired by hand. So it's very satisfying after you've spent a lot of effort into building a sail and have it come out just as you intended.
I just always liked boats. Ever since I was a little kid, I just loved boats. Used to do a lot of models when I was younger, and had to get on anytime I had the chance. I like wood a lot, too, so carving is, I like to draw and carve, and carving's a nice way to express yourself. You can feel the wood, and it's pleasant work. I enjoy the wood. I like the feel of it. I like the smell of it. I've done houses, boats, furniture, wooden toys, sculptures, carving, signs. So it's pretty versatile stuff. The carving helps my drawing. The drawing helps my carving, and it's vice versa. It's a great balancing kind of a thing. I think young people just want to get back to things that are real. Boats of wooden boys have just been a beautiful thing. It really attracts people. Get to work in wood, and I think people are a little burned out on plastics and other things. Something about boats, boats are, you can build this lovely looking thing and then it just becomes alive, and it can also take you wherever you want to go. I've always liked scows. They were in this area in the 1800s, running farm produce around the bay. We have a lot of problem with tides around here. We don't have a deep water wharf. But the idea of the scow is it's a very shallow draft, and you can pull it right up into the beach and unload off the bow. It's been real handy. Well, we've hauled some sheep for some people one time. We've hauled my neighbor's workhorse a few times. He had a Clydesdale. It's pretty much been building materials for myself and my neighbors who are building cabins and houses around the area. Oh, yeah? And it was really enjoyable to build. There was a lot of chainsaw and sledgehammers and just good, clean fun.
was rowing around in Babe in Belfast Harbor, and this woman came up to me and said, "Oh, I've been really looking for a rowboat. Where did you get that?" And I said, "Well, I've just built it." And her saying, "Would you build me one?" And that's what got me started. I sort of called them my bread and butter boat. And I would try to build 3 a year, and ended up building 9 of them. I like to look at this boat and stand back and look at her sheer and see that somebody really knew what they wanted in a boat, and it's pleasing. It fits on the water, it bobs up and down, you can fill it with a lot of gear and people and feel safe. And I like especially when I see people in them rowing them and families in them. That makes me feel good because they're such a sturdy little boat. I'm not your stereotype traditional Maine boat builder. I'm not even a native Mainer. I live here, but I wasn't born here, as they say. Rose Plunkett is a 20-foot Arnaud Day design lobster boat. He built boats his whole life, and part of his philosophy of life is that people helped him and he will then pass it on. I told him that I was interested in building a lobster boat, but I didn't know anything about design or how to choose a design. And one day he came into the shop and he had drawn out lines of Rose Plunkett, and it was perfect, beamy. You could tell she was going to be nice in a seaway. Traditional construction, which I was interested in learning about, just really fit the bill.
Now available on home video from the Discovery Channel. Tales of Wood and Water. Explore the history of wooden boats. Hear the creak of wood and smell the salt spray. Meet the craftsmen that build boats and keep them working. Fishing boats, windjammers, classic sailing vessels, and more. If you love boats, Tales of Wood and Water is a must for your home video library. Yours for only $24.95. Call 1-800-351-4600 today with your credit card ready. Sponsored in part